first, this does not look like hell. It looks like a project. A gigantic facade rises from the darkness, measured, symmetrical, almost proud. Columns repeat like a military rhythm. Arches hold the whole structure above a glowing river of fire. And only after a few seconds do we notice the figure on the right, small, red, almost swallowed by the landscape. This is Satan. But he is not shown as a monster rushing forward. He is standing like an architect, inspecting his finished design. And that is what makes John Martin's Pandemonium so disturbing. Hell is not chaos here. Hell has a plan. The first mystery is this pose. Satan stands above the burning ground, turned toward the palace, as if presenting it or perhaps commanding it to appear. He is separated from the building by distance, smoke, and lava, yet the entire scene seems to answer to him. There is no close-up of his face, no theatrical expression. Martin gives us something colder, a ruler whose power is measured not by his body, but by the world he has caused to rise. Below him, the ground is alive. Red light cuts through the blackness like molten veins. Tiny figures gather in the infernal glow, so small they almost look like insects. This is important. Martin does not invite us to identify with them. He makes us feel the scale of the system they belong to. The painting is not asking, what does a demon look like? It is asking something stranger. What would the capital city of damnation look like? The answer comes from John Milton's Paradise Lost, the epic poem published in the 17th century. Milton invented the name Pandemonium, the high capital of Satan and his fallen angels. In the poem, after the rebellion and the fall, the demons do not simply wander through darkness. They organize, they debate, they build. And this is the moment Martin chooses not a battle, not a punishment, but construction. Look at the palace itself. It is not a cave, it is not a ruin. It has facades, towers, rhythm, ornament, and monumental order. The architecture is almost seductive. For a moment, we forget that this is hell because the building is beautiful. And that is the trap. Martin paints evil not as ugliness, but as grandeur without mercy. Pandemonium is impressive because it borrows the language of civilization. Temples, palaces, governments, empires. John Martin was one of the great painters of catastrophe. He loved scenes where human beings become tiny before fire, flood, architecture, and judgment. His worlds feel bigger than ordinary history, almost cinematic before cinema existed. But Martin was not only a painter of fantasy, he was also obsessed with engineering, city planning, sewage systems, transport, and the future of London. And this changes how we see Pandemonium. In 1834, the old Palace of Westminster burned. Soon after, London began imagining a new parliament, a vast Gothic revival structure rising beside the Thames. Martin painted Pandemonium in 1841. At the same moment, Britain was rebuilding one of its most important political buildings. We cannot prove that Martin copied Westminster directly, but the resemblance is hard to ignore. The long horizontal mass, the towers, the official grandeur. And if the comparison is intentional, the painting becomes far more dangerous. Because then, this is not just Milton's hell. It is a nightmare version of a modern capital. A place where power becomes architecture, where rebellion becomes an institution, where damnation is no longer wild. It is administered, illuminated, and built to last. Above the palace, the sky refuses to settle. A red lightning strike cuts through the smoke like a wound. Martin divides the scene into two forces. Below, architecture and control. Above, storm and cosmic disorder. That tension is the real drama of the painting. Hell wants to look permanent. The sky seems to say it is not. Now look under the building. The arches lift the palace over the lava, almost like an infrastructure system. The fire is not just decoration, it is the foundation. The city of hell is literally raised on burning matter. This is where Martin's imagination becomes frighteningly modern. The painting suggests that great cities can be beautiful above and poisonous below. Their surfaces may shine, while their foundations burn. Martin spent years proposing ambitious plans to improve London's infrastructure. He thought about water, sewage, embankments, and the health of the city. So when he paints an infernal river beneath a monumental palace, it is hard not to feel an urban anxiety hiding inside the biblical scene. Hell, in this reading, is not only a theological place, it is a warning about cities that grow faster than their conscience. The tiny lights are some of the most unsettling details. They could be torches, windows, fires, or signals. They make the palace feel inhabited, not empty, not symbolic, only operational. That word matters. Martin's hell works. It has movement, hierarchy, energy, and public ceremony. This is not a pit of suffering. It is a functioning empire. And there is one more detail many people miss. Martin did not treat this work as just a painted surface. The original frame, designed by the artist himself, was decorated with serpents and dragons. In other words, the nightmare was meant to escape the canvas. The painting was not only an image of hell, it was designed as an object that surrounded you. That frame changes everything. It means Martin wanted the border between art and viewer to feel unstable. The serpents and dragons outside the scene tell us that pandemonium cannot be fully contained. Hell is not only there in the distance, it is reaching outward. So the most terrifying thing in this painting is not the lava, not the demons, not even Satan. It is the order. John Martin imagines hell as a place that has learned to build beautifully, a place where catastrophe becomes architecture, a place where rebellion does not end in ruins, but in a palace. And perhaps that is why pandemonium still feels so modern. We recognize the danger of magnificent systems built over burning foundations. We recognize cities that glow while hiding what flows beneath them. So, what do you see here? A scene from Paradise Lost? A fantasy of biblical evil? A disguised anxiety about modern London? Or something even darker, the idea that hell is most frightening when it looks organized? Write in the comments which detail changed the painting for you. The tiny Satan, the impossible palace, the river of fire. Or the thought that this might be less a vision of the underworld than a warning about our own world.